Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our annual Amitabha Mantra Accumulation Retreat. And this morning, we will start with the opening prayers in the yellow prayer book on page 1. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they obtain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial, the supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Devada Kini Ratna Mandala Praktichaswoha. Namo. To the Guru, the utter purity of all appearance and existence, I offer all appearance and existence arisen as the primordial ground. I supplicate you. May the three realms be completely liberated. Please grant blessings to empty samsara from its depths. Lord, with the five omniscient wisdoms, crown ornament, kind one with loving nature, precious protector of beings, heart of all Buddhas, inexpressible by words or thought, I supplicate you from the core of my mind. Bless me from within the state of Dharmata. Bless me to realize this mind, primordially pure and unborn as the unfathomable Dharmakaya. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicles and the teachings common to both according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Durjin Chanjin Delu Naro Dai Mabamala Juje Gambo Ba Pamodra Ba Jawan Dogong Ba Gaju Lama Namje Da Jon She Danandana Zara Damje Da Lama Labu Laye Jiso Zon La San Yon Den Jamse Ngala Ban Dendre Donjen Rebe Gele Zor Nagelo Jison Rovar Sinja Labdo Zor Jalamdan Rovar Sinja Labdo Zor Lan Truva Sevar Sinja Labdo Truva Jison Javar Sinja Labdo Zor Ganga Tinjen Javar Jong Gaba Meba Je Meba Jeba Meba Ta Meba Wa Meba Dro Tade Dume Dunje Me Dribanye Je Dunba Zobo Sanje Mananje Tamba de la Chansar Do Drunjin Zava Lama Je Kusong Do Jalan Dada Dage Julan Bede Dage Dumba Dan Sunje Je Don Jajan Ban Rabar Sunje Labdo Zor Namka Dan Nyambe Senjin Tamje Chidon De Dinde Laname Bayan Dobar Zobo Sanje Je Kumpang Rumbo Tobar Sha Di chi de dambe ju kan ye sin de don nyam se lamar ju nyam be samba chang chung ju de sem ji ba dang chu nim be kun ju da gu long man ro go ne sim ban cha de ne da de ren ran zo ge o ba me chi gom de chin xing jur shi sa wa de ko la choga tigo ne shoyaris ane da tendu tata gang hyubana yin ke ngaran so namba sanje pe chu dujende tenu zo samba ja chewa changcho ke sem ke zisim ba tone mana chik do na ya ri tene gomda tene 간달 줄라 투상 간다 제바이나야 데네 장초 저 그지신 소아이나 데네 상제와라 상제야 그 졸런로와라 태천미 바인장 데네 나랑 흰킨 경원에야 강톱톱게 장초 그셈 언제나리 임빈 그 이긴라 제 빈지 토나 삼바게 굴롱야 제톱다 대체 넘버 싱킨 담제가 대 다베지 타에 베신진 탐제 그 돈도 춘드 닝크요 삼산단라지 그 돈에 신 나로지
Cultivate a motivation thinking may also in human beings limitless space attain the state of perfect and complete enlightenment. And for that purpose I'm going to listen to the Dharma and then engage in practice. The motivation of bodhicitta is the unmistaken motivation for listening to the Dharma. And we are listening to the Dharma. Today we are discussing the sadhana of the Buddha Amitabha. It's called the Uniting with the Pure Land of Sukhavati. And so first, when we practice in Buddhism, what's most important is to have a vast intention of bodhicitta. And so whether you're practicing just a single Mani mantra or you're meditating or you're studying, if you cultivate bodhicitta beforehand, then there is no doubt that it becomes a cause of enlightenment. And so therefore, me as a teacher of the Dharma, I'm trying to cultivate a mind of bodhicitta, wish to benefit others as much as I can. And also you who are listening to the Dharma, we should cultivate such a motivation, thinking that I am listening to the Dharma for the sake of limitless sentient beings.
다 된라인자 되네 산지 오바민데양 강달양 삼바자치고 토니 삼바자치와 장조구셈 냠링가 토니 되네 곰버저 상제 숨바지 차도 요리 되네 지르탄데다 도군초 찍바세 자부 간저는 요래 kuncho tsikpan do sen denin jongko yore da utela tarate undo obame ke hinku gendo sak yore hyuko yore de inzande tarate chertang kuncho tsikpa gendo tela leo toncha ja yore song yore yina ya tene kap te duyang remji da namba sanje bechula danda keche tarwa da guba danda chongwa guba tenga he songar tema somza songare se ja parche na zongora na jagala da danda songza dene leu yipchi hega zamado la yo maris leu tontaja tontaja de bamje so dara yipchi hega zam la yo re songko yo re da gandar danda yenza nde tata oba me kendo de den do kuncho zeba kenandna yo re.
And also the Buddha Amitabha himself had cultivated this vast intention of bodhicitta and then attained enlightenment. And so the sutra of the Buddha Amitabha, called the dense array of the Pure Land, is contained within a different sutra called the Jewel Stack Sutra, which is part of the Gangyo. And so that's Amitabha Sutra. Originally consisted of 100,000 chapters, and then as time went by, it encountered various obstacles, India, and so on. And so basically what we have now is 49 chapters. So this Amitabha Sutra is contained within the Jewel Stack Sutra.
Kantara di do kuncho tsikpa nanda teni di opa mekin do undo nda sanje chomden de tang teni nyinti chimpo kunga wo namni ke teni yasa trawa tiling goni chursong bache chado yubare teni nga kata di paro la hyuga tanda chigen zo te di choa dima
And so how this Sutra of Amitabha, which is contained within the Jewel Stack Sutra, came into being is the result of questions asked by the great Ravaka Ananda to the Buddha Shakyamuni himself. And then next I will focus more on explaining the sadhana of Amitabha.
Then zo chikyu de da ndi oba nyamni chidu dene nyamni chi godon de ngarang su che Divacen shinkhan la jiya ke mungpa terwa ta Divacen jiwar se bala Divacen jiwe jo ye sungko yore ta nde dene shigo yore nyamni ya tir mbak thone nango yobare Dendu Devacen Jo Yipo Gananga Je Garisna Tambo Shinkam Yila Jimba Song. Shinkam Yila Jimba Songdu Garishuna. Da Devacen Shinkam said Jataba Yore, Gava Yore, da Dela Soboga Tone, Dene Devacen Shinkam Yila Jimba Song.
And so then the reason why we practice the Buddha Amitabha is because we wish to be born in Divacen. And in order to be born there are 4 causes that lead to birth in Divacen, which we should understand and which we should also practice. The first one is to bring to mind the Pure Land of Divacen. So here we first think of how is that Pure Land, what kind of Pure Land is it, and where is the Pure Land, and so on. So we bring to mind the Pure Land of Divacen.
Tene Devaji Shinkam Yila Tin Sendu Shinkam Ku Yongdin so Yila Tin Yongo Yore. Shinkam Ku Yongdin so Yila Tin do Tene Ranjing Ketang around so Senala, Tenetela, Rondu Gundumba de Jamba, the Drag Pin Yore. Tene Da Devacin Shinkam Tenla Chansomba Yena Sanje Sewa Chatik Ja Toncha Tendra Ke Sanje Shinkam Ke Sanje Ke Hing Da Yundin Tamji to do Yaba Tendra Chad Yore. Tenin the Mu Darati Sanje Jomdin the Jitin Wan so Hyuna Tene Zobo Sanje Digun Dunla Tene Gumbo Obame Ke Tokji Yaba. De Tokji Bat Jidang the Garajesina Darati Gumbo Obame Ke Gelong Chujin Jungne Hiba Tandak Jewa Yidu Tene Jomdin de Jitin Wan so Latene Konge de Tuban Zere. Toba Gare Hubare Huna, then Jitin was a change at Kadon Shinto Tawa, Tene Ustarwa, Tene Jamala Sobaka Nano the Tamja the Travala Soba Data Gon Tene Yuntin Jubare. Then the Yuntin the Judu, Tene Jumdin the Jitin was okay, Tene Teni Tarati Yundin the June, Teni Jumdin the Jitin was okay, Teni Ramchitanavan, Konke Data of Yundin the Jumwa Jumsi, Teni Shinkank Yundin, Data Jeremji, Masuma race.
So when we bring to mind the Pure Land of Divacen, we are bringing to mind the qualities of the Pure Land. And then when we bring those to mind, then we will naturally want to go there. So it is said that this Pure Land of Divacen, within this Pure Land, the qualities of millions and billions of Buddhas and Pure Lands are all complete within that Pure Land. And so how it arose in the past is that there was a different Buddha, the Buddha Chitan Wangsok, and so the Buddha of that time, and that was the Buddha at the time when Amitabha in the past had first given rise to bodhicitta. At that time, Amitabha was born as a monk, the Gelong Chugujungne, and so this monk then offered some words of praise to that Buddha of that time. And so he was praising the Buddha in terms of his complexion and radiance and luminosity and how he is free from all faults and how he possesses perfect qualities and so on. So having expressed such a praise, then that Buddha explained the origin of these qualities that were expressed. And so then he also explained the qualities of such a Pure Land.
Tene Jumdin the Jitin was okay, Tene Konke Hinkam de Yondin to Sone, Tene Tate gelong chujin jung ne kong ke tene ti hinkam te ta zon nan de ke yore son ne sor sung du tene gelong chujin jung ne ta ti hinkam te zam ken kong de ke ma do so de en du ta kong le hinkam ke yong din hinkam tham je ke yong din yong zo ba je kong le song ro nang shu du tene hinkam ta so ju du som ke hinkam tham je ke yong din kong le song
So.
주진 중에 송라
좀는데.
주진 중에 파송라 이定왕소
왕족이라.
손데 되네 다 공게 다 대다 신강 되네 공게 신강제 되네 신강 제발도 봐봐지 중게 인성 되네 대다 신강 제발도 봐봐데 존데 티 신강 될라 되네 다 집 심진 담제라 다 간터제 코와당 인성 라소바당 로아레 쪽에 동아 ke dra zang ya ma ba tel so ba go song kong ke mo la zhang me ba ma bo je ta ne de ta wa mo lam de so kong ke ta ba yin de man ro ba yin na de ni kong sang je ge min so ne de ni jom den den ji tin wa song de ne de ni ke dam jian ze ba re de dam ji ba le de ta wen to de ne ba le de ne de ni kong da sang je ba re sang je en 다라 초 지어 두선은 다 신감 삼진마 잡아 다부 신감다 마다부 신감세네 다 간다 망보지 요래 신감가 헬라네 용딩 그 차네 하장 그 베네 혈송 공발가 신감라서 바에나 용딩 그 차네 하장 그다 대화진지 신감다 라원라워 요 바직라스 양텔 지워시 발라 하장 제깔레 가보지 yang xingkang ga xian ga xie ne ne yang jie wa le la bo de wa jin ji xingkang na yin jie la bo yu ba yin na yang ji char du da rong de la je nga rang zo che zo go lo che le la so ba ke to ni yang je de so la ka re dong an ram da yu de ba je da de la so ba ke de da ji cha de yu ba re de da yin za da de wa jin ji xingkang hi ba de 용딩 그 차네 왜고나 신칸 탐체 그 난게 다 용딩 체휴 드니 텔라 지월 시발라 하장 그 제야 그 쥐었라 착진 만보 먹고와 제라와 다 대다고 그 용딩 제발 진짜 인자 드니 다 말아서 다라데 대화진 신칸라 제야 그 탑히 지고야 그 짐신 데레스
So then this Buddha Yidam Wangso came explained the qualities of this pure land where they were at, and so then he asked them that the monk Chugye, so is that sufficient? And then the monk said it's not sufficient. He should actually speak about the qualities of all the pure lands. And so then the Buddha talked about all the pure lands of the 10 directions and the 3 times, and so then the Buddha the monk Chugye at that time then made a very special aspiration in the presence of this Buddha, hearing about all these qualities, saying that there has to be a pure land where even ordinary sentient beings can be born, and where even the sound of the suffering of the 3 lower realms, the 6 realms of samsara is unheard of. So such a prayer must be, such a pure land must be created, and if it's not created, then may I also not attain enlightenment. So that's a vow that he took in the presence of this Buddha, and as a result of this vow, an aspiration, he attained enlightenment, and then a pure land was created that possesses all the qualities of all the pure lands of the 10 directions and 3 times. And so there are an infinite number of pure and impure realms. For example, there are some pure lands that have the same qualities as Divacen. For example, the Eastern Pure Land of manifest joy is very similar to Divacen, but it's extremely difficult to be born there. And then there is some pure lands where it is easy to be born, just like it is easy to be born in Devacen, but then it doesn't have the same qualities, because then there is still karma and one still experiences suffering there. So for this reason, among all the different Pure Lands, the Pure Land of Devacen possesses the greatest qualities, and in terms of the possibility of taking birth there, it isn't necessary to gather all these causes and conditions to be born there, like in other Pure Lands, so it's quite easy to be born there. And so for these reasons, we have to make an effort to create those causes to be born in Devacen.
ngombo ba me ke sanje chik zam de ne jancho ju de sem ji ba zam che ke yo ma re dini sanje mambu de ne de ne jancho ju de sem ji ba de ra cha de yo re per na dini yang kong hu japo zep ji mi chu ji se na de ra ke je wa yi na ma re ti kap so dini de gin ji ba rin chin ning bo ken de yang jancho ju de sem ji ne da ra de ta wo ke mo la ta ba 다 텔라 소바 mambo 요레 대인자 데니 다 다라 ngaran so ge 다기 강을 휴디 신고 예라 팀바시 데니 신고 예라 팀바시 바데 ngaran 준디 대와진 제 몰람 자미 라가 so 근자이게 바티는 요바 따르도 차도 요레 데고레 라보 답데보 요레 대인자 데기 갸비 휴나 데니 데니 녀마 놉 소러너 데니 자미 직티만 파러 중세 땡도 파파 시데타 ngaran so tara di sagang de la jungze ya thoa je cha de yore teni number ta pe hingam dewa ji se da de la mada pa ke teni hingam te ta ma yin pa number ta pe hingam dewa ji tena so
And so then he didn't just take this commitment, and he did not just cultivate bodhicitta in the presence of this one Buddha, but he cultivated this motivation in the presence of many Buddhas. Also in the past, in a different lifetime, Amitabha was born as the king Tsipki Mikyu, and that was the time of the Buddha Ratnakarpa. And also in the presence of this Buddha, he made prayers, many prayers. And so as I mentioned before, first we have to bring to mind the Pure Land, and one very easy way to do that is by looking at the aspiration prayer of Devacen by Chakmaraga Asya. That explains it very easily. So it says, in the direction of the setting sun, beyond innumerable worlds slightly elevated. So in the western direction, beyond innumerable worlds slightly elevated, and so forth. So there is the perfectly pure celestial realm, Sukhavati.
Oh yeah, that the other the Deva Ching Yanage Nibate Chosa Battery, the young Tinana Chosa Bate Gini Yonkayore, the Dinyam de Matyota, Tambo di Choganan, and that's on the Namo Amitabha so Namo Shibande, ta lecture ticket to Chansalo Shibaton Reva. Then Tarate Amitabha sendu dene Obami so Ya Hibate La Hibaton Reta, Obami la Chansalo Shibaton Chad Yorova.
So then after 4 causes to be born in Devacen, the second one is to accumulate merit, which we will come to later. But now, in beginning with the sadhana, on page 1, it begins with Namo Amitabhaya. Namo means to prostrate or to pay homage, and Amitabha is the Buddha of boundless light, and Ya means it's like a particle which means to, so basically homage to Buddha Amitabha.
Alright, that Tambo the Devacin yet a career sete pa Hugan and Motu Wagan that desire, Trans Sena Degrava. Tambo de Hingu Yela Timba, Niba de Yinla Dumbergon, Chosaba, Sumba de Jancho the same Jiba, Yiba the Devacin the Jib, Moa. That ere. Divacen jebs hua darati di oba ke sukhabati molan yongsto batere da de molan yo de bate date
So actually first maybe to just share those 4 causes of taking birth in Divacen, because if they're all kind of laid out together, you will keep them in mind. So the first one is to bring to mind the Pure Land of Divacen. The second one is to accumulate merit through the 7 branches. The third one is to cultivate the supreme mind of bodhicitta. And the fourth is to cultivate aspiration or dedication in order to be born there. And actually, all those 4 causes are complete within this prayer of Divacen.
da dine di choga nang dine dema tambo nang do jayor salnda bas da ngarang zo jertang chinang che par jamji soma na tardo dine namba sanje pa ji insan zonde jap sunro go yore jap sunro du jap mlo ba chegla jap sunro go yore mlo ba de service du da kuncho somori si ta kuncho somoyende kuncho kundu jungo lamang gomba oba me dang teni tin khor chancho samba dan jepa teni soso ke darate mba chin dunje nam kala churchin dang ne teni din dunje nam kan da ngosam do yo samba tone je teson me bak tone de da ba ji go yores.
So then in the sadhana on page 1, first it says the visualization of the objects of refuge. It is said that the difference between outer and inner, or Buddhist and non-Buddhist, is the refuge. And so therefore, as a Buddhist, we first have to go for refuge, and we have to go for refuge to an undeceiving place of refuge. And that is the 3 jewels. And so the Buddha Amitabha is the embodiment of all the 3 jewels. So we visualize him in the space in front of us, surrounded by his retinue of bodhisattvas. So think that these Buddhas are all, these Buddhas and bodhisattvas are all invited into the space in front of you, and so you have to think that they, without any doubt, they are actually here.
Da javier de charsar ta undun dunje nangwala sar ta undu da diwo de tinindala namo kuncho somda zawa somso da chan charsa ke de sorisina kuncho som sendoi kapso sanji chu gendun sombonde kuncho somso teni zawa som shibade ngak chugere zawa som lama yadang kanro som dongut dolo jigba cha de yore kasan ke gonje kapso shuba tardore ngak kapso lama sanje lama chu sombana ying lama de sanje ndoi kapso sanje hyondo wande lama teni tara ngak kapso yidam de tara di chu cha de yore ndoi kapso chu hibanda teni tara di ndoi kapso gendun hibanda teni ngak kapso kanrosi teni sanjiga te manzin kyong pel la so ba ti tawne ta tanda indu zawaso jamne namla japsun che so ta japsun che hiba de ka zam ge japsun che na pinto yore yena yang ka zam ge japsun che ne pinto de dang don ninkong rubu de ni japsu songwa ina teni jinlap de de da bu char thoko yore namjo nga so la ko yo jorang ge lama nga gebishini la sanje tar de ba yana sinlap sanje tar de yonsi teni dele means a chirtang ke lama gebishini dawe che ke chirtang parpa ndo ke de ba yana duhi jina sinlap de zam yonsi teni che tamar ba ha jang ke tap jo je lo duhi ya de na sinlap ne ba so so de zam jong ge sung ba yindo teni yin zang arang zo di japsun ro du teni nying kong rupu ting ni teni japsun ro go yores.
So in the space in front, you visualize the sources, the objects of refuge. And so then on the next page it says Namo to the three jewels and the three roots, the places of protection. I go for refuge. So according to the sutra path, the places of protection or refuge are the three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And according to the tantric path, the three roots, the Lama, Yidam, and the Kini. In essence, in their meaning, they are the same. As we also mentioned during the Gongchi teachings before, according to the tantric path, according to the sutra path, it's the Buddha. The Buddha, according to the tantric path, is the Lama, the Guru. And according to the tantric path, the sutra path, the Dharma, is in the tantric path the Yidam, and the Sangha, according to the sutra path, in the tantric path is the Kini. Those who uphold, preserve, and increase the Buddha's teachings. And so when we take refuge, then we shouldn't just give it lip service. Of course, there's a benefit if we just recite it, but the benefit of taking refuge really from the bottom of one's heart and bones is, of course, of greater benefit, and one receives greater blessings. So also normally it is said that if you see, for example, if you see the Guru with such a devotion of seeing him as the Buddha, then you will also receive the blessings of the Buddha. And if you see the Guru as a Guru, then you receive the blessings of the Guru. And if you see the Guru as an ordinary person, or even a bad person, like in a more negative way, then so basically what you receive is will correspond to the way you see that Guru. So therefore, it's important that when we take refuge really from the bottom of our heart and bones.
Charanzo chik jina te sinyo yojure ngima te jeres ma chike ma yimba chile chepa che an jakzin hian de jakzin re hia de lama la japsun jo sangje la japsun jo chula japsun jo ze ko jakzin yu de na jeres teni ko tini pan teni ko lo zubo la na cha hyu tang teni ko samba ji toni pa jong yong de ti ko ke simnang la ta himma te ko la jakzin hyu de lama la japsun jo sangje japsun jo se the jamro tongur ko hyu de ba de semna trin Rendu ti samba de tone kon rejig la toris, in rete ke no bachi mata varis. De sang da pinyo yo son tana son yo barwa. Gang tarayang da namjung aso jap song su nam top zug china tonsum de yang nu de chong somba dar de ta pinyo samje ma chapa yo baris jap sun wala. Ta jap sun ro ne garis o nga depo chi yong sho nga chi po yong sho samba za ma yin ba Rokun sanji langu sersondwa tina roa sinjin tamje sanji ge salangu bechi da nge chil japsun rogi song yo yore 대양 다라 람스 다라 네갑 신나 제 두수 통통 제라 제대 산조조도 샘지야 바자 마이바 장촌초도 샘지도 시바 장촌초 시바데 다 심진 담지 다라다 각한송 거와는 내도 요래 내다 담지 산지가 사는 고베 치등에 장초조도 샘지기 군조선나 잡스로기 군조선다 자와선 당에 따라 대제는 마웅발라 코란조 산지 장촌초까지 산지 그 살와 산지 그 살라 고 마터바 데시드 당아 되네 대 장촌조도 샘지기인라 군조선나 잡스로기 세나 두수가 차네야 대답 난동대 인장 알아서 된동바 갑자 된다는 삼노도 걸고 요래.
And then maybe you heard about that story before, where there was a person, like a thief, who was being punished for his crime. And so when he was punished, the person punishing him was hitting him with a whip, and every time he hit him, he said, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. And so then he was in a lot of pain, and he managed to escape, and he ran under a bridge to hide. And he was in so much pain that all he could remember, all he could really think of is those words he heard last, I take refuge in the Buddha and Dharma and Sangha, and without even knowing the meaning. And then a demon, like a spirit, came along, and just because he said those words, that spirit couldn't harm him. And also it is said that if the merit of taking refuge in the three jewels could take on physical form, that mass could not fit into the entire billionfold universe. So then when we take refuge, we shouldn't just do that for our own happiness, our own benefit, but as it says here, in order to establish all beings in Buddhahood. So we take refuge to bring to enlightenment all sentient beings, and therefore this motivation of bodhicitta is not a short-term motivation, because all sentient beings now live in the three realms of samsara, and one cultivates such a motivation of taking refuge in the three jewels and the three roots until in the future all of these beings have been established in the state of Buddhahood. So until that time, one cultivates this supreme mind of bodhicitta. So in terms of time, it is until that time. And so this is how you should reflect when you're reading this verse.
Tandela linsom jamdo semjin so linsom dong kondo tanda jumchin ga he yore tena ge je gare sena zo den aran su che ning tin ja dong da je cha ge yore ning tin teni yimba je yang kun cho som je ko la Japson Rowa, Sung la Japson Rowa, Tuk la Japson Rowa, Deyang, Sungayo Bares.
Then we are reciting this prayer of refuge and bodhicitta 3 times, and there are a few reasons for reciting it 3 times, but mainly the main reason is that it is recited 3 times for the sake of emphasis, and then also it is because we are taking 3 times, because we are taking refuge in the body, speech, and the mind of the 3 jewels.
Then Nindin Hibande, Jatang Pupala Page Yuri, Carpo Chela Nindin, Don Carpo Chela Nindin. Jatang Testa, Jatang Namuka Kejajirwa, Garchimbo Yimbala Nindin Jigos. Yina that song around so Nyamling la ton sam no tamayana ngarang so gomdi jigo sen gomgo se gomja de gomgo yuwa de yong ya ge zo tablam jik de cha de yore deni da ti o de da hi dewa jing je bu jo yenang ge ni ba yin la de bong go de cho sa ba hi ba de ri deni de la cho ju du sum yu ba ye jawa se je tham je la ku ne dang we chan cha lo shi ban de ding ge yore.
So in terms of the emphasis, like really exerting oneself, like the Tibetans, for example, say one has to exert oneself in like what is kind of like white or kind of virtues, basically what's important, and and here it is in terms of the Dharma, it is the emphasis, the exertion in the practice of the Dharma and accumulating merit and to practice. So it is mainly the application of the path of skillful means. So then next is the next cause of the 4 causes of birth in Divacen, which is the accumulation of merit based on the 7 branches.
Da de gab zo chan cha lo shi ban de da lu ji go ne chan cha wa de zo ngarang zo luji dripa taozi chido chek tere gudung yimba te karere sena chan sarwa de ngajar ki nyimbo re ta ngarang zo sang jeba sibala sang jeba zama ze ge che sa dan lam ge yongtin jewa tamji nyumong ke do nga zhou la so ban de ta tamji pang ne teni yongtin je go yorwa de je go yo zang ta ngarang zo ngajar ki nyimbo de chan sarwa yin la song yong go yore namje ngarang zo ge nga la ke tara tin dang ge dang zo la chan sarwa da yang mo je be cha ji yin na nang dong de lo ce de an da wen go le yo yan da de so cha ma cha sarwa kong sun de yo re de zan be cha lo ce de an da wen go le yo ra de so ta ma chan sarwa kong sun de yo re den ra ji de so so ge nga jar de rang yin ge he yong ge yo re nga jar de he yong ba yin na de 다 용디 망보제 다 제와라 조시게 요래 ngajar hiwala dine ngajar 첨보 요나 데네 용디게 주데 나로 용토거 말이 베르나 추누 충충 제는 데네 데파초가 강드라 제 요나 데디칼 추 망보 임바 촌다고 제 오만다고 듣는다고 제 로고나 고 람상 슬로를 마 봉거와 근데 ngajar 제오게 be chik te rawa thai jamso chimbo dina na kache dara korang la ha jang ka teng sa bo ja chimbo yore de darong kache lo yana ya tini khol luksa yore ta de ko yuntin kache chimbo yona tendra kemma de la tini yin ke yuntin che sek je ina che jango san ya lob go san ya de ta ba je yore song go yore de yin zan ngajar se ju de ke yeza chane chado rin yong go yore teni ngajar hibande ke yin ke yungtin so so la cher yong mata ba tela so ba ke yung chen bo yo za ta di nim bo la ta chan sar wan de cha yong ko res
And the first one is paying homage or prostration. When we prostrate with our body, we are purifying the defilements of the body. And prostration also is an antidote to pride. And also, in order to attain not only enlightenment, but all the qualities along the bhumis and the paths, we have to abandon the 5 poisons or 6 poisons, the afflictive emotions. And pride prevents us from doing that. So therefore, prostration is an antidote to pride. And so, for example, when we prostrate when we are in the presence of a deity, a holy object, or for example, in the end, after having read a Dharma scripture, we place it onto our crown. So that's all paying homage, and that naturally causes pride to dissolve. And then many qualities come from it. If one is very prideful, one is like a very small vessel. And if you pour contents into this vessel, like water, and then you fill it up with like nectar and milk and so on, then it will just flow over. But on the other hand, if the vessel is like a vast ocean that is very deep, then you can pour in it as much contents as you wish. So this is similar to developing great qualities. And so therefore, if we just hear a single word of Dharma, for example, then we should feel that I want to learn this. So because when we develop pride, then what follows from pride is jealousy and so on. And as a result of that, the qualities that others have will not arise in our own mind. So because it is a great fault, pride is a great fault, the antidote is to offer prostration.
Saja benda da ke saja lekhe nang da ke ba yongdin gundin di yinji yongdin chunglin so ke ba ngene yongdin den ba de zo ge yin ge yongdin chung jin na chlin tap ji ge yore song re da de yin zang de song ba tar de re de ni namjun chan sar shi ban de yang ta ji de nga zo lu ge ma nga cha ma sa le din chan sa wa zo de la go yore de zama yin ba yin la gu yap ji ya lu da nga yi dang we cha jo sung ma de lu ge go ne che namjor che gugu him jam la so ba che gugyap ka namba ten ya nda che nga go ne che tsek du sun jambo yin ki yi dong bo na ju de so kar chimbo hyube re ngone tsek zu bo dan yin la phon ro yan de so to lo zabza nang go yo re tene yi ge ton dang wa we ne me che ngo ni kang ba par de yong tin chung chung jo ne di yong tin de lo zo ming bing de ta ba yin na tene ran yin ge su su sem de dang wa ra wo cha de yo re dang wa de ba ra wo cha de yo re ma do ke me che la yong tin ja cha den che yo 말어 용디 자차 입지요 중 자차 된초요나 중들 삼는 당대와이나
자차 십트랑 겹쳐
자르르베
야랑
안지요 용디 자차 숨치지 중 자차 된초요나 되니 용디한테 돌아섬 조 mikpaten tanrachi tabaina 내가 할래 밖에 소소라 캐핑 라디오 버리
연 숨초래 야랑 연진 숨초래
중 dencha yongdin simcha de jung de che gora yongdin chongra yongdin chungchong na ya ta de leng gora
Sakya Pandita has said in the words of excellent advice that a wise person, a sensible person, knows how to take even the small, slight qualities of others and see even their qualities. So when we prostrate, prostration does not just mean to touch our 5 places of the body onto the ground. And it also has a meaning of respect, like showing respect with one's body or showing respect with one's speech. For example, it's important with one's speech to speak gently, pleasing to others. One has to be very careful and not speak in a harsh or unkind way that hurts others and so on. And in the mind, it means to have faith within the mind. So you see them, when you see even the small qualities in someone, then just naturally have clear faith or inspiration arises. For example, if a person possesses 30% of qualities and 70% of faults, so more faults than qualities, then a sensible person would still look at the 30% of qualities that that person has.
다 디오도 되니 주반법을 인라시 인라니 반다. 된 주반법을 인란들라 메토 독부 마르메트 야제 로모 라소바 문저리 이제 트르nem버 파부초지 기수서서 다 노용하게 라소바게 주바던 버런드 무슨 나랑께 강 텁텁제 포그요래 이제 저 시반다 가르침 보차들 이게 돈이 되니 다 주부 진 삼제메 잡아 대답 로가 랑네 로이 랑데 되니 바바 탐제라 양 포그이 세대 지나바게 되서 이로나세 단 버지 이인도 내가 평용 체휴제대 조부터네 단진 현용 거 요래데 저단디 주반버의 인란데 세나당 도착이니 보차도 요래 세나된 도착의 공도 차도 요르바 되니 어때 야 품면 세나요나 야 품면 마지면 되니 소소그냐 다마 소소그지 첸드지 돈은 이제 딘데는 카타르 되니 저들라 차힌 되니 텔레테네 되니 남시텔랑 콜 다 파르도니 라 탐제야 히아른지 테 라소바토니 지리나야 도솔라 셈테 마탑 다 데이터 바차인데 되니 첸달라제 소소게 양표제다 마진제다 가르침바 제리테 타제도 무보랑 카톡 바진이야 말하나 소소 꾸는 랑부터네 야진 안제데 가르침바 자도 요레스
Second is the branch of making offerings. So offer flowers, incense, lamps, fragrances, food, music, and the like, actually arranged and mentally created. So actually arranged, we arrange whatever we can arrange, such as the 5 sense pleasures. But what's really important is this mentally created. So with our mind, we can conceive and visualize inconceivable offering clouds of limitless offerings, and we offer it to the noble ones. And so here we ask them, please accept them. And when we make offerings, self-grasping dissolves. But so mainly making offerings is the antidote to stinginess and attachment. And stinginess belongs to the category of attachment. And one is stingy, then one cannot let go of one's possessions, one cannot give them away, and also one cannot make them an offering. And then later when one has died, one dies with this attachment to one's possessions, and then the consciousness tries to stay with those possessions. And then in the bardo, even though the deities appear and one sees the deities, one's mind cannot stay with them because the mind is attached to the possessions. And so that is why in this life it's important to make these offerings up, and so make offerings to the higher beings and be generous to sentient beings. And even if one doesn't have any material actual things to offer, it's important to make this mentally created offering.
Tene sumbate dikpa hyakpi yin la song. Thoma min ne dade par mege chotan sami nga semne nyumo wongjirbe dikpa tan shakpar je song. Tsen de zamla che dikpa jik sa yaba zama yin ba jewa thoma me ba ne da dikpa sab jumsen de nang kowan dalang khorso sam. Da tenen ngarang solo che tamjer job je sama mulu rombo jin dil lutin dala tine tene soso ko top kawa ke tamjer nibar kawa de top yu tene the kawa ke ge lama ge shini dan the yu se tene da hajang che chebar de tara tambe chu joban de karwan de haja kumbo yin na ya soso la data wa kawa yu du tene da dikwa tham je hya ge yin se da dikwa hyak ban de chertang hedang ge nim bo re hedang yu chade hedang serjon de tene ta chertang ngarang chama la je nyamnyong do je yore je hedang se je de kanda yimi hedang lan du chorwa kare yomi chama ha ko gore ni de yin za hyakpa chi jon de tene zo yongding zubo ge yongding cha yong go yore hedang da zuba ni ngarda cha de yorwa de yin za tene ngarang zo ge je dikpa hya sipa da chertang ta dikpa se je de la yongding se ke yo mare dikpa se je de la yin na ya dikpa se je de la yongding ji rang je yo ban de tene cha zo go lo hyakpen da to ban de dikpa ge yongding yin song re tena ye zang nga zo ge che chen da dang jibo chen da jibo zama yin ba serap mambo che la sa ya ba tene dikpa da tongwa ni ba tham ji tene hya gin san ning gong ru de ne de da chora yu bu to ni ne tena nang go yores.
And so then next is the branch of confession. It says, I confess all evil deeds, the 10 non-virtues, and 5 acts without interval that I have committed, overpowered by mental afflictions since beginningless time until now. So what we bring to mind, these negativities, these non-virtues that we confess, is not just what we did in this life, but all of the negative actions I have committed in samsara, which is why I still wander in samsara. And so now I have obtained a precious human body with those 18 freedoms and advantages, which is extremely difficult to find. And also I've encountered the authentic guru, who is very difficult to encounter. And then I also have the fortune of having encountered the holy Dharma, which is very rare to have that fortune. And so therefore now I confess all negative deeds. And so generally the branch of confession is the antidote to anger or hatred. And so anger is something that we all have experience with. We all know that feeling of anger. And then the confession really is a quality of patience, because anger and patience are really in direct contradiction. And so it is said that generally negative actions have no good qualities, but if they had one, it would be their potential to be purified through confession. And so not just in this life, but bring to mind all the negative actions and obscurations accumulated throughout countless lifetimes, and think that I'm confessing them all from the bottom of my heart and bones. And so really confess having such a real feeling.
다 이바들이 이반데 지스 여랑고 인라서 언들라 닌투 란저 장축셈 소수제고 라소베 두성게와 제사바 수나란네 다 여랑송 저단 지스 여랑데 데네 차도그 님보 차도 요래 아데 인상아란소 그 인게다 제 게와 첨보 중총 간다라고 지 놓고 요바이나야 소소근 통화단 투바라서바 단다 중도되니 지스 여랑와지 공고요래 단다 지스 여랑와 곰토나 대수나 냠도 토벌송송 데모나 요바다르리 제단 달랑 무마 산제 데네 자오제게 공색을 딘 장두 데네 지네 다 공색수 차데니 자오데 모안 지로지 산제라야 휴도아 산제리 휴데데니 모안 제 차데 산제 그때 송르 데랭크 데 게버자완데 혁치휴데 마가추랑 그 따라데 자오 자강 요선답들 마긴진도 데라 톱송 소마레 데 가르치즈네 야트와 휴인데 데니 다 자오 코랑 게제 세유 노조가 딱 직침보지 제여운도 진다나 그걸 그 돈이야 대제바리 마긴데 그때 지서여라마 공도와 데니 산제다 코르다 제발라 콘셉트 바텔라 지서여라마 공데 수남 자치모 토바레 데 산제 근도는 응수 요바레 다 데다부터는 소소라 인그 수남 톱고요나 지서여라마인데 데 가친돈 진짜도 요레스.
Then the fourth branch is rejoicing. I rejoice in the merit, all the virtue accumulated in the 3 times by the Sravakas, partaker Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, ordinary beings, and the like. Rejoicing is the antidote to jealousy. And so, and you rejoice in the virtue of others, whether it is large or small, whether you hear about it or you see it directly, you have to rejoice. Because if you rejoice, then, for example, in this prayer of Divacen, it is said that whatever you rejoice in, you receive the same merit. There was this story about the time when the Buddha was alive. There was a king who invited the Buddha and his retinue for a midday meal. And at the end of the meal, then the Buddha dedicated the merit. And then the Buddha said, today, the greatest merit in the entire assembly was accumulated by this old woman at the end of the line, and she is the one who will receive this dedication. And the king then asked, why is that? Because after all, he was the one who made this vast offering to the Buddha and the retinue. And the Buddha then said it's because this woman rejoiced in the king making this offering to the Buddha and the retinue. And that merit was even greater. So that is a story told in the Buddha Sutras. So if you want to receive the same merit as others, then it's important to rejoice.
단단한 손바다도 소수지오라 소배송도 남중 알아서 제 라마 개위니 자침보 탐지게 제다 인동제인도 지스야랑 제야라 데스레 라본다고 제요레 남중의 제 대바다 당와 요버 중심라티네 대야 용딘레 야보레데 소수지오 맞제 타자 제그 수나사야 그제 책직점 동 시용바이나 은혜 전에 지스야랑 검네 내대진 창자 베나 힘바 요아 소송긴 심진 송긴 힘바드나 코그 심진지 세야 치는 냐르도 요레 이나 simjin je ya se je ji nyar sina keep simjin je one animal se ya chin nyar de ina ko te sani se go yorda sejo sani da wo ji le se go yo na teren ko te le choje ko na ro yo choje li de zang nga chun tong yong ba ina ngune ji su yang gom koran ke sani se ya chi de nyar de teren ku te le choje de ke yorda ti sun jul ngaran so ke ko jisu yarang ji tomna tene pe ta ji tomna zen ro ji goya res.
So it says here ordinary beings and the like. So that's also significant, these ordinary beings, because mostly it is of course very easy for us to rejoice in the vast altruistic activities of a very precious Lama, for example, because we have devotion and faith in them. And of course, that's also a good quality. We should rejoice in that. But even the things that ordinary people do, even if they say one good word, and so on, they do one good thing, and we really have to rejoice in that too. Or even also what I'm thinking is, for example, if you have a butcher has a lot of animals, so he keeps the animals in order to kill them. And so he has this like animals around him today, and tomorrow one of those animals going to be killed. Even though tomorrow he's going to kill that animal, today he's giving the animal a bowl of water to drink. So even if you see that small virtue, you have to rejoice even in that.
다 nga ba de chujun kolo ko so and ba de chujun kolo ko yin la simjin nam je samba tang lo ye che da je dar ba chi chong tumung tik ba chujun kolo ko do so da chujun kolo ko and nyumong nang ke timok nim bo cha de yore timok hi ba de japjin gar chen bo je nga so le yang se so and timok to ba dun si jinge masarwa churwa la so ba yore da de yin za teni tenda cha cha du teni kare se goro yungti teni dambe chu ge yungti je to go yo ma rang rang so la de za sanje ge chu je nam ran ta ye ba go ron de ban de ya temo ge nim bo re thonlang ke nyamlin de zo chi hyun de dara de temo ge nim bo cha de yo re thonlam go ya yo ro thonlam go ya de zo temo ge nim bo cha de yo re thonlam gom go ra thonlam thap ko ma thonlam gom de thap ne ra 저 야폰다 데네 다라 나랑 저게 우살 곰도 양데 소 탐지야 티모그님 보래 응네라네 때와를 가르치 공거래 때와 티모게 야사나고 차도 요래 데는 데네 거 님보당 데 방자니 카트네 공거 요라 된다 메디 데 추지 남랑 만보지 송도 양데 티모그님 보래 릭바디야 세르다야 지도 데인데 데 추준 걸로 거서 한다고 좀신 데레스.
And the fifth is to request to turn the wheel of Dharma. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicles and the teachings common to both, according to the aspirations and diverse mental capacities of sentient beings. Requesting to turn the wheel of Dharma is the antidote to ignorance. And His Eminence Gurchen Rinpoche tells us time and again that there are 7 states of ignorance in the mind, such as dullness, a lack of clarity, confusion, and so forth. And so if we are ignorant, then we will not be able to develop the qualities of the Dharma. And so therefore, to hear the Dharma, to request to turn the wheel of Dharma is an antidote to ignorance. And for example, therefore, also the practice, the meditation of the path of seeing, which basically through that meditation you attain the path of seeing, is an antidote to ignorance. Or the meditation on luminosity, the luminous mind, is an antidote to ignorance. Also, the focus on the navel chakra is an antidote to ignorance, because it is said that the navel chakra is really where ignorance mainly resides. So therefore, there are many different levels of teachings that are being explained to clear ignorance away. And since the teachings are the antidote to that, that's the reason why we supplicate to turn the wheel of Dharma.
Da chuchu kolo kordo sor sine lama gewe hini la soa namjun dewa de jadang ke yong chan re yarab chu ding chan rodan chik de hang saya ge jis yang go ya je re yena soso rang ke pen sosun chemla ja ji nyar do na ja ji nyar do na ja de la chuchu kolo koro sen soa dewa yor samsung ak kare chin sam kanda chi gur sina ja bird 콜 간다지 소안데 그스나 나란서 그 쿠사데 게 자두 nga 간단다 오지 똥송 디클 삼노 때와나 남주 텔 핀토 니 용도 제 가르스나 나란서 다다 탐지 nga 그란 힌스여들라 곰지지알 핀토 제 요레 핀토 임바제 가르 요레스나 아 자데 게델 테네 제 nga 안다만다 여당 클라 nga 다 님판라만다 제퉁 제조글로 간다 된다로 수소글로 파주로아이는 자데 그던다게 자앙게 응네 단 자가 유르다 사코랑 게
나갸그래
nga jasin donde ti draden nga ke dranrote so yongge yore pena nge rongtongdo
di niga tikpada mare ah 담보디양 nga gitara nibadiya nga gitare 제바 khare
제바 nge tesen je nga랑 남진 상하 단항 잔데 작바 nga 세게요와 tel lo da compare ya pink dos this jack da so yin jing ni ya bu nyong ji na dini ngaran su lo da gom de ja de ngene da je yin pa dong de jong ro yo res
nare ma si po mara
a
sa nare ji po mara
sa nari la me de
di mara chi dang sa ra
ja ganda ina
ganda ina
dini logic tong nong ji ba ina 또 돼서 요사를 또 로직 통로지 뭐라 자제 요래 구글러는 가서 그거 조시라야 구글러야 돼 자대 그 책하게 나서 그 가게 거기다 그는 구글 리치스를 다 리치 등에게讲 charpos
거기에 되래
거기에 썸다워지 요다
리치당
담보 구글 리치스 게니데 돈다데 야부 히라 말이 나 힘보 열데 야부 가르지 말이세나 페나 나 마제라 콤하보 파도르데 마리스와이나 나서 구구세다데 지시랑 제반다고 차대요라 그 아니고 충충드자 파마칼라미니 다마데 제모 마제라데 부드서 제모 제라 제모 제데 거서 마리 드라용라 되니 아마드서 장자 구구세 다 저런 고고리세 데 나칼 뇽바상스 데다워레 양 숨바데는 차르법스가 차르법스 다 자디 티케인도 딱다 자기 요르다 맞소 텔 파 검도 요레 부바 참에 데라 구고스 구고 라야데 디 메인 데 코랑케 티케 당들 데는 파타 요저린도와 이나 콜티 마인 바 메인 힘바 요레 다랑아 구욕라라 구욕 뭐네들 구욕라라 이나 구고스 다차레 파
나서 찍마다요
아
이제 덜라 디니 프레시파레
도전 구국 세지데 가서 그 다 차느라 구욕스 얘기라 구욕
맞아 다치 포서 셈마요 말에 민
알아
찍마다요 말에 인지 덜라
알아 죽국
니요 말에 찍 미니 교요 말에
막 구국 시바데 가 코란스 깨레 틴 파주라레스
띵가서 때네 되게도 인지 덜라 띵가서 영 셈바 띵가서 잡고요라 띵가서 요 말에 알
구욕스부터 요 말아
찍찍마다면도
콜 메인이 요리 랍나
아서 민찍마다면 맞 그래서 배거니라
다라니 요리
니 리치 카레레
구욕스
다 고상 이나 리치 카레 그랑 계속 자겠다 그거 찍고 말아
구국스 이제 골리세라
데니 때문에
리치 시바텔라 난돈 라오텔 가르스 그다 저거 골리 시부동다 찍바래다 담보데 찍바나 수바들 차르법스 charpa nanga charpa ko jiga yung gro wa sunha yung gro sunha yung de bula kha de charwa ba yang go zu gro wa yo gengka kha ba gro
Then this particular verse here, the request eternal will of Dharma, is actually something that is kind of customary. Whenever a Lama gives a disciple first a teaching, then we first always supplicate him to turn the wheel of Dharma with this verse. And so even in that, we have reason to really rejoice in tremendously. And actually, there's what I feel that also even a bird, any kind of bird, for example, a pet bird that you have at home, you can actually even see the kind of the kind of the tweeting of the bird. The tweeting, right? Yeah, the bird tweets. You can even see those as like a supplication. And so actually you can see your bird's tweets in two different ways. One is, first of all, in general, in the secret mantra, since it's a path of pure view, we should see all sounds as mantra. So you can see also the birds tweeting as mantra. And then the second one is actually, if you really listen to the bird carefully, you actually hear it really as mantra. It's not just in general, but even it really sounds like mantra. And this just brings to mind one little story about Tibet. So in Tibet there is this bird, the cuckoo, and actually in Tibet it is said that the cuckoo has its own language, and so there are three very distinctive kind of things, of words, kind of sounds that the cuckoo makes. And one is cuckoo, and one is lychee, and one is chapap. And so cuckoo and lychee are basically have the same meaning. And so sometimes actually it kind of means something a little, has like a bit bad of a meaning. This word Schadenfreude. So it's when somebody drips and you laugh about it, for example. So that means also cuckoo. So for example, but not necessarily bad, but for example, when a child is not supposed to run around and play, the parents tell the child, like, stay here and sit here, don't go around. The child doesn't listen and goes playing anyways, and then it hurts itself. Then the mother says, like, cuckoo, which basically means a car. There you go. So that's cuckoo and lychee. I said chapap. Chapap means literally raining, right? Rain falling. And so it is said that in the cuckoo appears in Tibet in the springtime. So when the cuckoo first appears, then it means that the raining will start soon and the winter is over, because in the winter there is only snow. So it kind of brings the spring. The cuckoo brings the spring, and that's why he's called rainfall or chapap. Yeah.
Aye. Tene tati odo kowa jisi matomba nyangi manda tukji ya dungar jamsur singwa ya simji nalo zeksu nda techongbu nimbore. Da ngarang zoche dana jamne kundi che ngowa da sanji jancho somba tani dunja nangka la ta hi din changsuwan da tamje da lower zama zo yoko sa rida mari san da techong tene dana jena jabsu sona pinto yo da me 상약 대충 요바이나 데자 탐제 돈으로 코아치시 마동 바도 요도 요르스 간달 초랑 대바는 조라미나 투지의 니랑미 바 시바테레.
Next is to request not to pass into some nirvana. So it says, until samsara is emptied, do not pass into nirvana, but compassionately look upon sentient beings drowning in the ocean of suffering. So that is the antidote to doubts. And so even though we have invited those objects of refuge, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas into the space in front of us, we still might develop some doubts and wonder that how long will they really stay? Will they maybe just stay for a short time? And if that's the case, then is there really any benefit in taking refuge in them and so on? So to supplicate to not pass into nirvana is the antidote to such doubts. So because actually, if your faith, if your devotion remains unchanging, then they will always remain without ever really separating until the end of samsara.
That the dag sunam chesaba tamche chanchu jerjerne ringpur moton rowa in ribipa the da jerje shiband ta ngoare. Ta ngoa chi indu teni tu song gewa tani ngoa chi bande lota ke nimbo cha de yore. Jerdang tik tse sema la so ba tanji mi ba ina teni tse sema ton do ngoa chi ya ke samno yu ko marwa lota shibande tse sema me ba tan le jumre me ba lama koncho me ba nda ta ke che lo parta wa sin jo ka ta wa nda wa teni te so la che ya chu ba ma ji ba tan pin to me de wa ro che sam no de yin san te so tham che ke nim bon de teni ta ho an de cha de yore teni ya.
And then last is the dedication. On page 4, may all the merit I have accumulated become the cause of awakening, and may I soon become a glorious guide of beings. And so that's the antidote to wrong views. So we are dedicating all the virtue accumulated in the 3 times as an antidote to wrong views. And it is an antidote to wrong views because we are really dedicating for all future lives. So if one doesn't believe in future lives, then also it will not occur to one that one should dedicate one's virtues for future lives. And so that is a wrong view, that there are no future lives and that there is no karma and that there are no 3 jewels and guru and there's no benefit in being generous and making offerings and so forth. So it is a misconception or a wrong view. And the antidote to that is to dedicate.
That the teni so yen nam ram na tembe da simjin tam je ju la chemi ye lo je bar jor si teni simjin tam je dewa de the danger je donghar kun da trawer hyo de tang ta ton mandar chen ta hyo chim bor ne jor je hi bande 장초 주도 샘지 바들 대화진 제 주의하는 거 단데 샘지네 근데 재미 이야고는 샘지 반다 차도 요레스.
And then the field of accumulation dissolves into me, thus the mind of the 4 immeasurables has arisen within the mind streams of myself and all sentient beings. And may all sentient beings have happiness, may they be free from all suffering, may they never be separate from happiness, may they abide in great equanimity. So again, of the 4 causes to be born in Divacen, this is one, which is to cultivate bodhicitta, or the 4 immeasurables here.
Semi yagom sardu teni da od semi yade ta namjun mambo tundo go yoza teren de he jepa paja menan de risams teni nguye yadam gomba tere de la a nansin konde shugun rangin tong ma tong khowar chna nyore mu tong sar ninje sungjo sandang ne rare shei karbo yongjor le ped din de rani jinre zai yarji cha ye thar jar painting zin yeking jampu nyamji longku che kume pem din nangnap chong yo ndun okay ta tambo te par den na
jok par du logra
te par ta de du ta yedang ko lang so gon ba kap so ta kandari sin tambo so so rani te re teni a hi ba de ane 추탐지 다 동반이 그 중동 차도 요리 되니 소소라 되니 닌지자 응가빠메 버고니 Then da Tarating around so Shaya Carboje Gom Shaya Carbote, Sunday Jorandu, Tini Jinreze, Ronder Charge Ba Shibandere, Dutch Gom. Then Ronder Charge Ba de Kupu Pumo Minchu de Pemena Nama Nob de Vaje. Then Data Vaje Cha Yoba, Cha Nik Tamojar de Yoba, Teni Jimala Norans in the Yoba. Then cha yed leke chinwans in the yoba, cha yung teke metons in the yoba, data which gongwore.
Then, having cultivated the four immeasurables, we come to the main part of the practice. And so, about the four immeasurables, you have all heard a lot about that. So, I thought it was okay not to go into much detail about that today. So the main part of the practice begins on page 5. Appearance and existence, all phenomena of samsara and nirvana, are empty by nature. Not realizing this, how afflicted are deluded beings in samsara. My own awareness appears as a white Shri, the manifestation of unified emptiness, clarity, and compassion. The Shri transforms into myself, appearing as Chandresic, seated upon a cushion of lotus and moon. I have one face and 4 arms, 2 are joined at the heart, and the other 2 hold a lotus and garland. Peaceful and with loving countenance, I am dressed in the garments of a Sambhogakaya Buddha, sitting in cross-legged posture. My lower body is unfolded in a lotus. So here we come to the visualization of oneself as the Yidam deity. So first it begins with A, and A represents the empty essence of all phenomena, and then from A, what was that? Then within this empty state, your own awareness appears as a white Shri, which appears as the unceasing, unstoppable energy of compassion that arises in the form of a white tree, which then transforms into yourself as Chandresic. And here it is Chandresic with 4 arms, and he's sitting in a cross-legged posture with his lower part of the body inside of a lotus. So from the knees down, he's inside of a lotus flower. And 2 of his hands are joined at the heart, and between those hands is a jewel. And in the other right hand, he holds a mala, and in the left hand, a flower garland.
Oh, yeah, that Kamachonga la person ya. Then Chicheranzo, the Chechines, the Gomden under Gyuri. Then Kamachonga Jinete, Mantema Hugain.
So we take a break now for 15 minutes. In those 15 minutes, you should visualize yourself as Chandresic, and then we continue after 15 minutes.
May every being ailing with the disease be freed at once from every malady. May all the sickness that afflicts the living be instantly and permanently healed.